Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies.
I saw my house from space. Not literally, but my life. I need to get back up there.
Dr. Plimpton said you skipped your last 3 sessions.
I'm giving everything to this program, to the mission.
Kills me to say it, but our girl's been pretty inconsistent recently. Not everyone can handle the ride.
I'm pulling you out of the running for Orion.
No, if I were a man, you would.
Excuse me?
What's it like up there?
Only place where anything makes sense.
Boy, this feels like a weekend for crazy people, doesn't it? Well, I gotta say, I'm a little mixed on this one, just because there are aspects about the movie that I really like, and a few that I definitely don't. Okay, so I think that the acting really holds it up. Natalie Portman brings her A game, as she usually does. She plays this character who has looked into space and sees life down below as something just too small. Nothing really makes sense anymore. She's mentally changed, or you can even say scarred. And how she conducts herself in her everyday life, around her husband, around her job, her behavior becomes erratic. She's now hyper-focused on her work. You'll notice throughout the movie, she's like whispering to herself, I think like data about something or other. It's not like I could hear what she was saying, but
the voices.
I really appreciated that you can tell that there's something going on in there. Something not right. And I think it perfectly captures that sense of insanity, but trying to maintain sanity. And how it just gets worse and worse as she spirals downward. And she really does. What starts off as just, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel like anything makes sense. Now she's staying late at work, and now she's lying to her husband.
I'm a naughty bitch.
Then things just escalate from there. She has an affair with a coworker. She gets jealous when that coworker has an affair with another woman, and then she starts stalking them. It's just like, damn, this gets crazy toward the third act, and I will talk about that third act and how it just does not work. She is constantly saying, I'm okay, I'm fine, but she's not, and she's just not talking about it. She's looking for anything that makes sense, and honestly, for most of the movie, I'm kind of on board with this. Not that Lucy is a likable character, but I don't think that the movie's going for her being likable. She's just losing touch with reality, with her life prior to going into space. And it's not like I'll criticize her for her taste in men anyway. I mean, John Hamm. I do declare, Mr. Hamm. That's a good-looking dude. So if you wanna have an affair with someone who's sexy via being a douchebag, you don't get much better than him. That's a good choice. But jokes aside, yeah, I understand the angle that the story's going for, and I'm certainly intrigued. In terms of positives, there's really not much to talk about. Mostly because it just seems like it's one crazy thing after another. She's not paying attention when she's running a track, just doing basic exercises. She is throwing herself to memorizing data. I mentioned that already, but yeah, and there's other scenes where she just puts herself in needless danger, even during training exercises, and she's just like, She has that kind of PTSD that you see in some movies about soldiers, where it's just like, I don't know how to be home. I need to get back to my job where things make sense. I think Hurt Locker kind of did that. Oh, maybe that's kind of what this movie is. It's Hurt Locker in space. Just like Ad Astra is Apocalypse Now in space. I just don't like how certain things tie together. Because in the third act, that's where everything just like goes goes right out the window. I don't know if anyone else caught this or had the same idea as I did, but in the trailer, it almost looks like it's trying to be very female empowering. She's given special treatment, everyone's taking extra special care of her, or just extra concern because she's a woman. But it that's not the angle they end up going in, or at least not in that way. Because now it's this for most of the third act, now she's like saying, not saying, but she's going around, bringing her niece with her, putting her in illegal circumstances, making it sound like we're on a special mission because I'm being mistreated or something like that. Like I said, it's not explicitly said, but you get that impression. She's trying that Lucy is trying to make this about female empowerment, because now scenes are starting to get lighthearted. They go shopping for strange things like rope and hammers and wigs and trench coats and all that. And there's like fun, peppy music playing, but any other circumstance, and considering the tone of the movie prior to these scenes, it's almost like a horror movie or almost or psychological drama, but now it's like almost a Marvel movie, and a bad one too. And you don't really know what angle they're going for anymore. So, needless to say, the third act just cripples the rest of the movie, putting everything in question. Like, what is going on? And without giving anything away, the worst part is that there's really no consequences for anything that happens. I mean, sure, okay, Lucy gets arrested, but there's a lot of blank spaces that are left. The final 5-10 minutes of the movie is 3 years later. And here's Lucy on a farm with bees, and I guess her niece is in school, her uncle is taking care of her. I have no idea what the last few minutes of this movie are. And there's even a scene where she's driving down a road, learning French because reasons, and the tape tells her this is how you say I'm sorry in French, but then she gets all offended, and she turns it off and is like, fuck you. How do you say that in French? It's like, what the fuck, man? I don't get what's going on here. To make matters worse, there's too many loose ends by the end of the movie. We don't know what happens to certain characters that were affected by all this. And the final shot of the movie is just like, oh, everything's okay. We just saw an entire movie about a woman losing her touch with reality, and it's just like, why are we ending on a happy note? Nothing about this ending is justified. Honestly, I've got nothing. It's like for 2/3 of the movie, I'm totally with it. I get what it's going for, and I'm engaged as well as I can be. But then that third act just happens, and it becomes almost a self-parody. And it hurts everything. Natalie Portman does great. John Hamm is great. Everyone is so good in this movie, but it's wasted on a story that otherwise just goes off the rails, and you have no idea what to make of any of this. Although if you sit down long enough and think about it like I did, you end up not liking it. I'm usually not a fan of letting one aspect of a movie ruin an entire experience, but since I know where all this builds up to, and it's extremely disappointing, I would never watch this movie again. And it's sad because I love the talent and the effort that was put into it, but that's all I can say. As a recommendation, I'm going to say pass. It's not a terrible film, I guess, but in the end, it's not worth it either. If you want to see it as a rental, fine. Just have 2 hours to spare because, yeah, it's a 2-hour flick. But even then, you're not missing out on much. Natalie Portman has put out much better work. If you want to see a good Natalie Portman sci-fi movie, check out Annihilation. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's a mind-blowing experience. I love that movie from last year, so I'm going to say check that out instead, not this one. My honest rating for Lucy in the Sky is a weak 3 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Hope to see you soon.